Are you struggling trying to manage all those challenges and changes going on in your life? I know. Don't you wish there was a better way? I mean, so that you weren't on an emotional roller coaster going up and down every time something changed. Well, I'm here to share with you, there is a better way. On this episode of the Tribe Speaks, Hile Rutledge will share with us how to manage our change with ease. Get excited, yes! Welcome, love, to your tribe. A tribe of everyday people who come together to share their God-given gifts and life lessons with one another in hopes to inspire and empower one another. We all remember when the pandemic hit in 2020. It was a lot of chaos and challenges and threats and just a lot going on. It was a devastating time for all of us. But when you look at the good side of it, and yes, I did say good side when I'm talking about the pandemic, because I believe that with every negative side, there's an opposite yet equal. There's a good side to it too. It's just all in how you look at it. And so I did look at the good side of the pandemic. It was an opportunity for us to grow and evolve as people. And so I took advantage of that. I had this brilliant idea that I was going to create a podcast. And I was so gung-ho because this was my contribution to society. And so what I did was I interviewed health and wellness practitioners to share strategies with our community to help us heal and manage this crisis that we were dealing with. Well, little did I know that there were a lot more changes and challenges that I did not anticipate, especially in my for-profit and nonprofit businesses, which caused me to shut down the podcast after 15 episodes. But again, looking at the positive side, I got to meet some really cool people with some really interesting talents and gifts to offer to the community and life lessons. And so they were relevant back then, 3 years ago, and they are still relevant today. So I'd like to share with you a message blast from the past. Mr. Hile Rutledge is the president and principal consultant of OKA, Otto Krager Associates. And Hile shares with us his expertise in the fields of organization, team, and people development. Now, Hile taught us that by learning self-awareness and developing self-awareness, we develop better self-management. That means when we're going through those tough changes and challenges, that we're able to accept who we are, and what we're experiencing, and knowing that it is okay. So that we can move through that change in unprecedented times with ease. Now, Hile shares with us that there are 4 stages to change, and that change is rooted in grief. So where there's grief, there is change. And where there's change, there's also grief. Okay? Now these 4 stages of change consist of, number 1, the denial phase. It is not happening. It's clearly not happening. Then we move into the resistant phase. I'm not doing anything. I didn't do it that way. I ain't going to do something new. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Then, of course, we move into the exploration phase. That's when we're looking at things like, let me see how it can benefit me. Let me test the waters. And then finally, we move into a commitment phase. Like it or not, we're committed to it. It is now the new norm. And so Hile says that it's very important for us to recognize what stage of change that we're currently in. and to recognize where others are in the stages of change as well. Once we recognize then we're able to move through this change with grace and ease, helping others to also move through the change with grace and ease. So within this section, Hile's going to focus on the exploration and acceptance phase. That's the phase we all want to get to. Just get it over with. Let's make it the new norm, okay? Don't like new stuff happening to me because I feel out of control. But Hile shows us how to manage that change with ease.
But another way that you can really help them in this exploration phase is, can I reward your openness? Can I reward the cessation of resistance? Like in organizations with power, with inclusion, with more of a voice, with the ability to get their fingerprints on what we're building. I think in family systems is there. So here's the new system, and maybe the system in this COVID world is we're in quarantine and you can't go see your friends as much or at all, or you can't do. I mean, so all these things are in place.
Yeah.
And so maybe the exploration phase is when I'm not fighting you on that anymore. Let's talk about how we can work with creating a social life and an engagement set of opportunities for you that does fit with what we need to do, or what we can afford, or what we have the resources
Absolutely.
for. The and let you have a say in that. And so let's create together this thing. I understand how hard this is. You though understand how important this is, and so let's try and create something together. And that's something that with an exploration that can be a benefit or acknowledgement of having come through. um, that that we weren't able to do in the resistance phase because neither of us trusted each other. I haven't heard you. What I'm angry about is that you just won't acquiesce and submit to my control, because I clearly know more than you and have more power than
Ooh,
you in this. And you don't. The virus isn't the issue. What you're resisting to is my controlling you,
control.
and
Absolutely.
and so once we can go through and understand that the issue is not COVID-19, the issue is who has control over my life.
Can I say ding, ding, ding?
Yeah.
'Cause
and,
that was like, if you could highlight anything, if the audience takes away anything, it's like who's in control, and it's the fighting of the ego.
and that's and so the thought is that uh, we need to co-create, and so I need to be
Co-create.
able to influence you, but I can't control you. And the
Mm,
and once we get to that point, that's when exploration can really start to happen. There's more trust there. There isn't in resistance. I mean, that's one of the things that takes a direct hit is our trust of each other. And then finally, exploration can go to commitment. Now, commitment is often misunderstood because commitment sounds happy and closed, and there is some closure there, but it doesn't have to be happy in terms of, wow, what was I fighting about? This is awesome.
right.
It could be just, I get it. This is my life now. I've inhaled the new reality, and this is it. Um, and so that is like, for instance, if somebody close to me has died, or has left my life for
Yes.
whatever reason, um, it's not like, whew, wow, I'm glad glad that was over, and I'm glad she's gone. I mean, that's not how we work. But I can accept the fact that, okay, the life I'm now living is a life without this person, and I get it. And I'm committed to that, as in I now understand the new boundaries, the new paradigms, and I understand, and I'm not fighting that anymore. It would have been great if that had not been the case, but here we are. That's what commitment means, and And so once
Accepting it for where it is, right?
and
Just
the
acceptance.
and that's the and so helping people uh, one of the things that can help them in that spot is actually even enlist them to reach out to other people still in denial. I mean, so help give them a voice to almost shepherd people through. I know what it was like. I was there. I totally get that. And but now I have some investment in this new reality. Even if it's a reality I didn't like or want, but here we are. And so that helps. One image that I have is and this is a mistake we often make as leaders, as parents, as you name it. If you think about, I'm in a life raft, and
Mhm.
the life raft is the change. The And then there are all these people in the water that are upset and in resistance. And so one by one, and you can only do it one by one, I try and pull these people into the life raft, helping them the way they need to be helped to get in the life raft. But one of the mistakes I can make is that once you're in the life raft, I pull you on board, then you just go back and find a seat. I'm worried about these people still in resistance, where the people in the raft have just done
Yes.
something big and difficult getting in the raft, and you need to tend to them if they're going to stay in the raft. And so they need something different than these people in the water. But that is still um, and so one of the things that helps is that you
You
can't take your eyes off them because they
absolutely.
need something specific.
Well, it's also like in the education field, once you've learned something to really master it, the last phase is to be able to teach it, to give it back, to have some relevance in it, and to bring some, you know, to be an asset to the group as a whole, whether it's the
Yeah,
family, whether it's, and that's what people want to feel like. Although I may not like this commitment, as you said, I'm in the raft. I'm going with the flow. It may not be the flow I want to be with, but how can I contribute
yeah.
that makes me feel like, okay, this is okay, and I'm not going to jump back in.
Well, and the interesting thing is that that sounds so positive, and it totally is. But
Mhm.
one of the interesting seeds of within this model is that that kind of commitment being focused and tied into, okay, here's the new reality, and I'm on board and I'm with it. That the kind of commitment, the blinders that commitment kind of gives you and even kind of requires, then sets you up for the next denial. And here we go again. That those four steps, I think of it as a
Ah.
wave that dips down and comes back. You've got denial, resistance, exploration, and commitment, but that's attached to the very next. Because what makes me able to commit now blinds me to the next thing that's coming down the path. And here we
Ah.
go again. I mean, that's the way we flow through. And the fact that you're an introvert and your husband's an extrovert, or that you're I'm a green and you're a blue, or whatever system we have, is
Mhm.
all those people still move through these same four stages. And so,
Absolutely.
and maybe it looks and sounds a little bit different, and maybe it how you would reach out and confront the woundedness, or the resistance, the anger, the fear of somebody who is of one personality type might be a little bit different from the way you'd approach somebody with another type. So it's not like those things are irrelevant, but it's not like
Absolutely.
those stages that anyone is free of those stages. That's just how we do it.
So, in other words, the bottom line is this: change, adapt, be ready for more change
Yeah.
because you'll have to adapt again.
Yeah.
I like to say a lot to the audience, just to simplify everything. Life needs to be like a river
Mm,
to experience things. It's a constant flow, to never hold on too long to anything, good, bad, or indifferent, because it constantly moves. And in order to keep, I think, some normalcy in your life, you have to be on that rafter, as you were saying, and keep going with the ebbs and flows because it's
yeah.
going to constantly change.
Beautiful. I love that. Yep. I totally agree.
Constantly change. Awesome. Awesome.